Okay, so get this. You sent over study notes on Job, Genesis, Psalms. Someone's been doing their angel homework.
Looks like it.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today, the origin of angels according to these sources.
All right.
Not just when they showed up in the cosmic timeline, but how they were created.
Okay.
So before we even get to those biblical accounts, I'm curious, what did people believe about angels back then before all this was written down?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it?
Right.
I mean, without those written accounts, beliefs probably varied from place to place.
Yeah.
But the fact that angels show up so much in early texts tells us they were a big deal. Like they weren't just some random idea.
Yeah.
They had a major role in how people understood the cosmos.
It's like they were already part of the culture woven into how people saw the world.
Exactly. And as we go through your sources, we'll see how those beliefs became more defined,
Okay.
more official.
Got it. Speaking of official beliefs, your source material mentions 12 facts about angels from the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
What jumped out at you?
Well, one of the biggest things people get wrong is that angels have physical bodies.
Okay.
The sources are very clear that angels are purely spiritual beings.
Hold on, but don't they appear as humans sometimes?
Right.
Like all those stories about angels visiting people?
Yeah, and that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
They don't have physical bodies like we do,
Uh-huh.
but they can appear in different forms,
Okay.
often as men.
Right.
But it's always temporary and for a reason.
So it's like a divine costume change.
Yeah,
They dress for the occasion, the message they need to deliver.
exactly.
I love it. What else did we learn about what they can do?
Another misconception is that they know everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Your sources actually say that
Mhm.
while angels are super intelligent,
Yeah.
they don't know everything.
Uh-huh.
Only a higher power has that kind of knowledge.
So powerful, but not all powerful makes you wonder about their limits
Yeah.
and how those limits affect what they're meant to do.
Exactly. And that leads us to another interesting point, the idea that there's a hierarchy among angels.
Oh, really?
It's not just a free-for-all up there.
Okay.
There's structure, a chain of command.
Like a celestial org chart.
You could say that. And this structure is key to understanding their role. It speaks to their function, their power, and ultimately their subservience to a higher authority.
Okay, so angels have ranks. They're strong, but not all-knowing. And they can shapeshift when they need to.
That's right.
But where do they fit into the whole creation timeline? I mean, your notes are all about their origin story.
Yeah, and their origins are fascinating. One of the key passages your notes highlight is Job 38.47,
Okay.
where we see that poetic description of the Earth's creation.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this detail that often gets missed. The morning stars singing together and the sons of God shouting for joy.
Wait, are those references to angels?
It's how many people interpret it.
So they were already there celebrating the Earth's birth.
That's the idea. It suggests that angels existed before the physical world as we know it.
Whoa, so you're telling me angels were around before dirt rocks, even those trilobites everyone loves?
Yeah, they've seen it all.
They've really been there, done that.
For sure. And this idea is backed up in Psalm 148,
Okay.
where the psalmist calls on everything in creation to praise God.
Yeah.
Notice how angels are specifically mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
put among those created before other celestial bodies.
Interesting.
The psalmist even uses a literary technique called an apostrophe,
Okay.
directly addressing the angels to highlight their unique place in the order of creation.
So we've got Job, we've got Psalms. Any other parts of the Bible that support this idea that angels came before, well, everything else?
Now, your notes mention Nehemiah 9.6 and Colossians 1.16.
Okay.
Both confirm that God created angels
Mm-hmm.
and that this creation happened before the physical world.
Mm.
These passages use a literary device called a meridism,
Okay.
two opposites that represent a whole. Like saying heaven and earth actually means everything.
Oh, so when those passages say all things,
Right?
including both visible and invisible,
Exactly.
they're basically saying nothing was left out, including those non-corporeal angels.
That's right.
Wow. But knowing that angels existed before the earth even existed, it makes you wonder, what were they doing all that time?
Well, that's a great question, and that's actually what we're going to be looking at next.
Awesome. I can't wait.
Me too.
So we know angels were around for the universe's grand opening, right?
Right.
But knowing they existed before Earth was even a thing, it kind of makes you wonder, what were they up to all that time?
Well, if you look at the Hebrew word for angel malach, it also means messenger,
Oh, interesting.
which kind of hints at a big part of their purpose.
Right, like some sort of celestial postal service delivering divine messages.
Exactly. Great analogy. And this messenger role pops up a lot in early biblical accounts.
Yeah.
In fact, your notes even have a whole chart listing pre-Moses encounters with angels.
No.
We're talking Hagar, Lot, Jacob, even Balaam and his talking donkey.
Oh, yeah. Can't forget that donkey.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
But in each of those stories, the angels are acting like intermediaries,
Right.
delivering messages or instructions from God,
Uh-huh.
intervening in human affairs, sometimes even performing miracles.
So they're rescuing people, guiding them,
Yeah,
even causing these crazy supernatural events.
exactly. But always on behalf of a higher power.
Right. Not like they're just going rogue.
Exactly. They have a specific purpose.
Yeah.
And that purpose is to serve.
Which goes back to that idea of them being powerful, but not all powerful.
Right.
Their power comes from their connection to the divine.
Exactly. They're not just these powerful beings running around doing whatever they want.
Yeah.
They have a job to do.
Okay, so we've got these powerful, obedient messengers who are around before Earth. But how are they do we have any clues about that process?
Well, unfortunately, the Bible doesn't give us a step-by-step guide to angel creation.
Oh,
It's more about understanding who they are and what they're for.
I gotta admit, I was kind of hoping for some celestial fireworks or something.
Ah.
God at a divine pottery wheel molding these ethereal beings from stardust.
Those are great images.
Right.
But the sources emphasize the simplicity of divine creation.
Okay.
God spoke, and it was...
The power of words.
Right. In Psalm 148.5 even says, "For he commanded, and they were created." Like everything else, angels came into being through God's spoken word.
No dramatic origin story then, but it does make you wonder if God created angels with free will like the sources suggest.
You're thinking about the fallen angels.
Yeah, the ones who rebelled.
Right.
If they were created with the ability to choose, what does that tell us about them? And could their choices have affected things that happened after they were created?
Now you're getting into that question has been debated for centuries.
Yeah, it's a big one.
It touches on free will, predestination, even the nature of good and evil.
Heavy stuff, definitely makes you think.
It does, and while we may not have all the answers, there's another aspect of angel creation that often gets overlooked.
Okay, what's that?
The idea that they were created not just to serve, but also to worship.
So it's not just about delivering messages and getting involved in human drama.
Right.
They have their own spiritual life, their own connection to the divine.
Exactly. We even see this hinted at in Nehemiah 9.6, where it says, "And the host of heaven worships you."
Wow, that adds a whole other layer, doesn't it?
It does. They're not just divine employees, they're devoted followers.
Yeah.
They have a spiritual purpose beyond just doing tasks.
Mm-hmm.
And this worship aspect is key to understanding why they do what they do.
Okay,
They're not just following orders. They're driven by love and devotion to their creator.
that makes sense.
Which brings us to another fascinating question. If angels were created to love and worship God, why would any of them choose to rebel?
Yeah, that's the big mystery, isn't it? Why would any angel want to rebel? I mean, they were literally created for love and worship. It's like the ultimate breakup, you know?
It is a fascinating paradox, and the sources we have don't really give us a clear answer.
Yeah, true. But can we at least, speculate a little?
Of course.
What could possibly make an angel turn away from their creator like that?
Well, one possibility is pride angels are powerful and incredibly intelligent.
Right.
Maybe some of them got a little too big for their britches, started seeing themselves as equals to God.
Wow.
Or even superior.
So it's like that whole power corrupts thing, but on a cosmic level.
Exactly. And we see that same kind of thing play out in human history all the time, don't we?
Yeah, for sure. What about envy, though? I remember reading somewhere that some angels might have been jealous of the special relationship God had with humans.
That's another interesting idea.
Yeah.
From the angel's perspective.
Yeah.
Humans are just these messy, emotional creatures stumbling around on this little planet.
Makes you feel kind of small, doesn't it?
It does, and it really highlights the whole mystery of free will. Whether it was pride, envy, or something else, the fact is, angels have the ability to choose, just like humans.
Right.
And those choices can lead to good or bad.
So even beings created in perfection can go down a different path. Huh.
It seems that way.
It really makes you think about the choices we make and what they mean, even on a huge scale like that.
Absolutely. And it also shows us that we're not alone in this struggle. There are forces at work in the universe that we can't even comprehend, both good and evil.
Which maybe explains why things happen that we just can't understand.
Maybe.
Those times when you just feel like there's something bigger going on behind the scenes.
Right. But ultimately, we don't know for sure why some angels rebelled. It remains a mystery.
I guess some things are better left unexplained anyway.
Perhaps.
Well, we may not have all the answers, but I think we learned some really interesting things about angels today, like how they existed before the physical world. They're incredibly powerful, but they still answer to a higher power, and their main purpose is to serve and worship.
Exactly. And maybe the most important thing we learned is that even when faced with the unknown, it's worth it to keep searching, keep asking questions, keep diving deeper into these fascinating mysteries.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So to all you listeners out there, keep exploring, keep those questions coming, and keep diving deep into the mysteries of the universe. Until next time.